Hey everyone, how's it going? I am iamxeracon and I am back once again. Last week, Monster Hunter Rise released on PC, and I wanted to share a bit of my experience and impressions on the game so far based on my 30 hours of gameplay, which might not seem like much, and relatively speaking, it isn't much compared to previous Monster Hunter games. However, for this game, it is an actual it's a reasonable amount of time to put in before giving some real good thoughts about it. I'll go ahead and get the bad stuff out of the way first. Radeon graphics have had issues with the game. That's something that people have been complaining about, and fortunately, I haven't experienced any problems so far. The only problems I ever had was actually with the demo, where I think it was artifacting during the weapon select screen. But other than that, I haven't experienced any problems with the game because of the Radeon graphics. Also, there have been people reporting that there have been save data issues, so the game hasn't been saving for them at all, which the developers have been stating that they have been working towards fixing this. Again, I haven't experienced that problem, but I do want to address that these are concerns that people have had and problems and issues. But personally, the only issue I actually had was when I first played the game, or not the demo, but the actual game itself. When I was going through the graphics settings, the maximum resolution I could set was 768p, which was weird. I couldn't set to anything above that, and it wasn't until I restarted the game that I was able to actually set it to 1080p. Since then, I haven't encountered any other problems or issues, so everything's been running smoothly so far. With that out of the way, let's talk about the actual game itself. This is definitely the sequel to the series that I've really wanted to have. I tried playing Monster Hunter World, but it really just wasn't for me. I loved some of the quality of life changes that it had, but it felt too much of a deviation from the series for me to actually enjoy it and feel like a true Monster Hunter experience. Rise took some of those elements from World, but also incorporated some of the traditional feeling and style of older Monster Hunter games, which is why it really felt like a refresh and an evolution for the series. Being able to walk and use items, being able to cancel using items to avoid getting hit by monsters. All of these elements and more from World were great additions to the game. The newest additions, though, which were the wire bugs and the palamutes, those were very great. Those were great for traversing each area and also access certain areas of the map where you wouldn't normally be able to reach it by walking. The wire bugs in particular allow you to take shortcuts when it would take you longer to just walk. Additionally, they allow you to quickly regain your footing if you're knocked back by a monster. It took me a bit to get used to the new feature, but it quickly became an integral part of my gameplay. The art system for Monster Hunter Generations returns in the form of switch skills, which each weapon has. You unlock more skills by foraging more weapons within that weapon type, and you can really experiment with what skills you want to use. The one thing I've tried to do with this game is experiment with more weapons rather than just stick with my traditional dual blades, but the dual blades really are just best weapons. Another thing to mention is that the main campaign is kind of short. I honestly couldn't believe that I was already facing the main monster, and I was more surprised when the game credits came up. You can easily clear the main story in under 20 hours. And for a Monster Hunter game, that is incredibly short. I mean, every other Monster Hunter game I've played, you don't get to the credits until way longer than that. Maybe the original story for the PS2 games were that short, but anything else after that was considerably longer. Also, it does seem like there are fewer monsters in this game than any other title, including ones like the 3DS games. I know the Daybreak DLC is coming, and so that should extend the roster considerably, but it would still be nice to have more monsters. And of course, the story is really secondary to the game. It's mostly the gameplay and the hunts themselves. The gameplay is solid and fun, and runs at a smooth 60 FPS. Also, it's easier to deliver eggs now because you can actually roll without breaking the eggs, and because of the wire bugs, you can actually zip around. Just don't fall from too great of heights, or the eggs will break. There are also rampage quests that serve as the defender/repeller sections from previous Monster Hunter games, and I'm not really fond of this. Granted, I wasn't fond of them in previous Monster Hunter games, but for here in particular, it just felt too tense. I haven't had any failures so far, but it just didn't feel like a very good experience for me personally. But I have been only playing it in single player mode. I'm playing it with friends next week, so I'll see how it goes in multiplayer. Overall though, this is a very solid game, and it's the best Monster Hunter game I've ever played. This game is so good that it really needs to get a port for the PlayStation and Xbox. These games would easily run on the base PS4 and Xbox One at 1080p 60fps. The PS5 and Series X would be able to do even better than that. Capcom, get on that. There's no reason why the game should only be on PC and the Switch. But that will do it for today. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. Let me know your thoughts. Have you played Monster Hunter Rise on the PC or on the Switch? Let me know if you've enjoyed it. And let me know your favorite Monster Hunter game as well. So until next time everyone, I am iamxeracon signing off. Have a good one.